Fam, what's up? Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube, coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Alabama nearly a 3 touchdown favorite against Arkansas this weekend. It's an 11 o'clock kick. It's homecoming. There's a lot to go over. I'll take your calls. Call line is open. We have 2 callers in the call queue. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Tonight, we're playing You Make the Call. And what that means is you guys call into the show, and I'm going to ask you questions 1 through 5. On tonight's lineup, we got, is Bama better than Arkansas by 2 touchdowns? And I asked that because the line is set at 19 points, so just under 3 touchdowns, but over 2 touchdowns. Who is the MVP so far through 6 games? Now, today, I put up a video, and I listed my top 10 players thus far. I want to get your take on who you think is the MVP of this team so far, maybe from the offense and from the defense. Who are we sleeping on right now? Who's not getting enough notoriety? Who should we be talking more about? And who is your number 1 in college football as of today, especially with the loss of Texas? You got Georgia sitting up there. You got Michigan sitting up there. Someone else? Is it potentially Florida State? I want to get your take tonight. And then number 5, this is the 5th question I'm going to ask you tonight. Toughest remaining game for Alabama. There at the bottom of that graphic, you have Arkansas coming up this weekend. Then you have Tennessee and LSU. And before LSU, there's an open week. And then you travel to Kentucky. You travel to Auburn. And before Auburn is Chattanooga. Okay? So let's let the good times roll and let's get the party started. We go to the phone lines. It's a 470. Let's get it started right now. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the show. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with and where are you calling in from? Let's see. 1 second, fam. We lead off with a ghost call. 1 second. Be right back.
You are now in the host room and can manage your
again.
callers from the call-in studio web interface.
All right, we took the strike on the first one. All right, 470, what's up? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, yo, what's up, Kyle? It's Andrew from Douglasville. How you doing, bro?
Hey, what's up, Andrew? I appreciate you joining the show, man. Welcome on in. Hope you're having a great October 11th. It's already October 11th. You know, on the 31st, that's Coach Saban's 72nd birthday, which is pretty amazing. Yeah. That's he's a Halloween baby. That's also the first night of the college football playoff rankings. So you got trick-or-treating, you got Little Debbie's galore for Coach Saban, and you got the college football playoff rankings. So Andrew from Douglasville, welcome on in, man. Take it away.
All right, so I think Bama definitely would beat Arkansas by more than 2 touchdowns if we play like we have the last couple weeks. Especially if we play like we did in the Mississippi State game. I think that was our best performance all season. And that A&M game we did pretty good, but we had too many penalties from our Vikings. And but we got out with a win. It's a tough environment. So I think if we play like we did against Ole Miss and Mississippi State, I think we'll definitely beat them by 2 touchdowns, more than 2 touchdowns. And then I think the MVP, I think on offense is definitely Jalen Milroe. On defense, that's a tough one because we got a lot of good defensive guys. I think I'm going to go with Chris Braswell.
Nice.
Because he had the pick 6, and then he had the kick 6, and I think he's had a couple other. I don't know if he's had any other picks, but he's had I don't even know how many sacks and QB pressures and tackles for loss and all that good stuff. So I think he's definitely MVP on the defensive side of the ball. Who are we sleeping on? Who are we sleeping on the team?
I was thinking like when we think about the team collectively, who is like one player that we're not necessarily talking about that could maybe have a great, next second half of the season, or someone who's doing well right now that we just haven't talked enough about?
I don't think we talked about Malachi Moore enough. And I listened to some other Alabama shows, and they were talking about, he plays like 3 different positions depending on the snap, and he's out. Hopefully he'll be back in either this week or next week, hopefully. But he plays 3 positions depending on which formation we're doing. If we're doing nickel, dime, or money. So when he's out, we have to have 3 separate guys coming to fill that position. So Malachi Moore is definitely, we're sleeping on him the most right now because he's just amazing, and he's a senior. So this is it for him. And, I hate that he's missing 1 or 2 weeks. And
that's not necessarily true. I know there was some other channels or whatever that said he's out for Saturday, but that's not true according to Coach Saban. If you listen to his Wednesday press conference, he said that those guys are probable for this Saturday. So, and that includes James Burnap and that includes Malachi Moore. And I think probable means like game time decision for Coach Saban. So he didn't list him as completely out, which I think is great news regarding Malachi Moore. And then he said that Ja'Cory Brooks, who didn't finish the game last week against Texas A&M, that he's been able to practice that week. So that's kind of your injury report regarding the Alabama Crimson Tide going into this weekend, along with the fact that Emmanuel Henderson was back on the sidelines. Remember, we haven't seen him because he's been dealing with the hip injury. But, I guess we'll have to see like game time decision if Malachi Moore is going to be able to go or not against Arkansas. So he's not ruled out by any means just yet. All right, so on with Andrew from Douglasville. So let's finish out right here. So we got who is your number 1 in college football right now, Andrew?
Honestly, I don't think it's anyone in the top 10. I think if Bama does what we're supposed to do and take care of business, we should definitely be number 1. I think we're better than Georgia. I think we're better than Michigan. Who has Michigan played? We're definitely better than the little bro Ohio State. Better than any of those Pac-12 teams. Definitely better than Penn State. I mean, those are all good teams, don't get me wrong, but I think Bama is definitely better than all of them if we do what we're supposed to do and don't make stupid mistakes, if we play like Bama. Because we have a lot more talent than any of those teams. Got the GOAT coaching us, it's just if we play like we're supposed to, not do stupid stuff and not make stupid mistakes like we've seen the last couple of years. We've done it to ourselves the last couple of years. We haven't played a team that's better than us. We just haven't played like we're supposed to. So when we play like we're supposed to, we're the best team. It's just we don't always play like we're supposed to. But no, I think Bama should be number 1 right now, and I don't think any of those teams is better than Bama. So I can't say any of those teams is number 1 if I don't think they're better than Bama. Maybe that's being arrogant.
We have a question inside the comment box. Can you go over college football playoff scenarios? So real quick, it looks like this. I mean, there was still a long ways out, but the way that the college football ladder sets up for Alabama is actually works out pretty well. And the one team that you have to kind of root for to continue to win is Georgia. And then if Alabama takes care of business, they are 100% in if they win the SEC championship. So you have Georgia and Alabama meeting for the SEC title, which would be basically a playoff play-in game. Now, the other teams, they all play each other, which is great. I mean, Michigan still plays Ohio State and Penn State. Ohio State plays Penn State and Michigan. Oklahoma just beat Texas, but they got to beat them again, probably in the Big 12 championship. And then the Pac-12 teams, they all play each other. They're undefeated right now. Washington and Oregon play. USC, I think they have one of the worst defenses in the country. It works out perfectly if Alabama just keeps on winning. So you honestly kind of want Georgia to keep winning, and you want Alabama to keep on winning for those two teams to meet, and then it's a playoff play-in game, and then you just let the chips fall where they may. And I think that, and I said this earlier, if Alabama's offense, I think it's the title of the show, if they ever catch up with the defense, this team's making a run. Honestly, I mean, argue with it. Michigan hasn't played anybody. Georgia hasn't played anybody. Ohio State and Michigan, they're going to settle it out. But, I mean, the playoffs, the way that they align, and I know this is all rat poison and it's all focused on Arkansas, but it's okay because this team is working towards that final goal of making the playoffs, making the SEC championship. It starts on Saturday. It continues on Saturday, one game at a time, but the offense is playing much better than they were. This is a completely different team that played Texas. All right, Andrew, last question, man, before I get to my next caller. Toughest remaining game, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, at Kentucky, at Auburn. Go ahead. What you think?
That is a tough one, dude. All these teams can be really good when they want to be. I'm going to say the Iron Bowl because there was always some crazy stuff that happens when you play Jordan Hare. There's some crazy juju at Jordan Hare, man. It's just something else. So I think that would definitely be the toughest game. And then I think Tennessee and LSU definitely give us a run for money. Kentucky's pretty good, and that's at Kentucky, so that's definitely going to be a challenge. And I don't know, Tennessee, LSU, and Kentucky, they're all pretty close. I don't know who's better than the other. I mean, they're all pretty good teams. But definitely the Iron Bowl. Definitely Arkansas sucks. So, I mean, they shouldn't really compete with us if we don't do stupid stuff. And, if we play like we're supposed to. I think definitely the Iron Bowl because even Bryce Young, remember Bryce Young 2 years ago, we had that double overtime thrill. They beat the Mac Jones-led team by a field goal. And they beat that 2013 team, which was a really good team, by the way. So, I mean, every time we go in the Jordan here, man, crazy stuff happens. So, yeah, definitely the Iron Bowl. So if we get back past the Iron Bowl, even if we lose the Iron Bowl somehow by like a field goal or something crazy like that, if we come back and beat Georgia, how are they going to keep us out of the playoffs, It's not going to keep the SEC champion out of the playoffs.
Yeah, especially if Georgia continues to win. All right, Andrew, I got to run to my next caller, man, but I appreciate you calling in. Thank you very much for the feedback, man. I always appreciate the support.
All right, man. Roll Tide, man.
Roll Tide to you, man. All right, there's Andrew out in Douglasville getting it going. We got a 601, a 205, and a 334. Coming up next, my name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Now, I'm serious. I mean, Alabama, and I know everybody's starting to talk about Alabama once again, and everybody it was the same people that discounted Alabama after the loss to Texas. There was a large percentage of people watching this show out in the national scene that discounted them, that completely threw this team away, right? Think about it. Think about all the people. Now they're saying, oh, it's good to have Bama back. Of course it's good to have Bama back. Bama supports college football. They support all the jobs in college football. ESPN, every single website on 3, Rivals 24/7. This channel included, everything revolves off Alabama football, 100%. You don't think ESPN, on 3, Rivals 24/7, that they're all praying that Alabama makes the playoffs? 1,000,000%. Right? So there is Bama fatigue when they like to spin that because that's the narrative. But also it's much better when Alabama gets in the playoffs. And on top of that, on top of Alabama's own merit, that's a completely different team that played against Texas. Think about the team today. Think about how the passing game continues to evolve. Think about all the people that were hating on Jalen Milroe that said that he couldn't throw the football, that they were a run-first team. And look what he did against Texas A&M. They went into Texas A&M. They took care of business. They took their lumps against Texas. That team grew up. The team continues to grow up. And the people now talking about Alabama because it's better for Alabama football to be in the mix. Okay, yeah, right. We saw Powell Feinbaum saying that they're a sleeper team. Alabama is not a sleeper team. They're supposed to be in the playoffs. That is the standard. That's why so many people were pissed off at the beginning of the season because that wasn't the standard that we're accustomed to. But this team has never deviated from the defense. Never. That was a good Texas team. The Texas team beat them straight up. But in terms of where the defense is the backbone of this team. And if that offense ever catches up with the defense, this team is going to win another national championship. And this will be Saban's best coaching job ever. This week on Wednesday, he said, it's a challenging, enjoyable season. Saban is loving this. He's a coach. He's getting to coach. Tonight he had the lecture. I have the lecture dropping at 10 just so you guys can rewatch it again. This is what he said. He said, nothing is acceptable except your best. Nothing is acceptable about your best. Like, play that into your life. Think about that. When you wake up, nothing is acceptable except your best. Tell that to your kids. Tell it to your wife. Tell it to everybody you know. That's the mindset of Saban. That's what Saban is saying. You also have an Eclipse on Saturday. All right. I just had to get that out there. All right. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. I appreciate you guys being here so much. We go back to the phone lines, and it is a 601. Hey, thanks for being patient on the line with Kyle Henderson, who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
How's it going, Kyle? It's Jake Pensacola.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I can't complain, man. I woke up this morning. It's a blessing. How are you today, Kyle?
I'm doing amazing, man. Thank you so much for asking. Wednesdays, it's an interesting day because I have the SEC teleconference. Well, this morning I woke up at 4:20, and yeah, I know 4:20, but I go and work out every single right. Yeah, everybody's gonna get fired up in the comment box. But I go and I work. I put myself. I'm in this men's group, and we went to Tuscaloosa County High School and ran 2 miles. Did 200 pull-ups, 200 squats, 200 push-ups, and then another mile. So I get all that workout in the morning, and then I have the SEC teleconference at Wednesday. So that workout, it has a spiritual message at the end. And what that does is that energy level gets me all the way to right here, because Wednesdays are a really busy day for me. So I appreciate you asking about me, man. But what's on your mind, man? Let's go through this list real quick, man. Is Alabama better than Arkansas by 2 touchdowns?
Yes.
Just without a doubt.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, Kyle. I feel like if Alabama can put the running game from the Mississippi State game and the passing game from Texas A&M game, if they can put those together,
yeah,
I agree. I agree with you said. We're gonna win that this year.
Yeah. Okay.
No doubts about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I because Andrew, who led off the show, I was like, "Who's the number 1 team?" He's like, "As of today, Alabama." I respect that. I mean, honestly, the way that this, I don't know if they're number 1 right now, but they're a lot better than 11. But that's fine. Like, let them lay in the weeds and let that kind of be the rat poison, the reverse rat poison for those guys, right? Okay, so who's the MVP so far? I mean, I said it was Dallas Turner. He's my number 1 player right now. What about you? Who do you think is kind of the number 1 on this team?
I would have to say Will Riker. I want to give it to. I want to give it to Will Riker. I want to give it to Jermaine Burton because Alabama's known for their wide receivers, and I feel like as from the Texas A&M game on forward, I feel like Jermaine Burton is going to just show out, in my opinion.
All right, so let me read off some stats real quick from Will Riker, because people are calling him for the Heisman Trophy, right? Low key. I mean, guys coming in, he punts. So
agreed.
This season, he's 12 of 12, 18 of 18 on PATs. He's hit 25 field goals in a row, 1 for 1 from 20, 5 of 5 from 30 to 39, 5 of 5 from 40 to 49, 1 from 150 yards out. Dude comes in and punts for James Burnup, and he has 4 punts for 165 yards. Now, Andrew from Douglasville was asking earlier about Chris Broswell, and the season that he's put together is pretty amazing. He only has 16 tackles, which is interesting, and I don't know if you guys caught that video, but he's 6'4", 255 pounds, and he was clocked out of a top speed of 21.9 miles per hour, which is just insane, right? Okay, so he has 4.5 sacks, so 2 behind Dallas Turner. He has 3 quarterback pressures. He has a pick 6. He blocked a kick, which should have been a touchdown. He has a forced fumble, and his overall grade on Pro Football Focus is 82.7. So there's your detail for Chris Broswell. And then Jermaine Burton, 17 receptions for 386 yards. 196 of those yards came against Texas A&M. So, okay, I like your MVP picks there. Okay, on with Jay from Pensacola. Jay, who are we sleeping on? Who's not getting enough kind of attention right now when we talk about the Alabama Crimson side?
I'm gonna go too. I'm gonna go Malik Benson, and I'm gonna go Malik Benson. I'm gonna go Kobe Prince. I'm gonna get Jermaine Brooks. I feel like those. I know Isaiah Bond and Jermaine Burton is our main 2 receivers. I agree, but those other 3, I feel like if we can put all 5 of those together, I feel like it's a wrap. It's a wrap for everybody.
Yeah, those are rideouts. I mean, look, Isaiah Bond's a rideout, and I think it's probably, I'm probably answering my own question right here, but it might be Isaiah Bond. It's just like about him getting the football, right? And he will get the football in time, and I think, Amari Knobloch's a nice one too. But yeah, some of those guys in it, and it might just kind of be because the passing game is evolving, and Isaiah Bond did really well against Texas A&M. Okay, number 4, who is your number 1 in college football right now? Is it Michigan? Is it Georgia? Is it Ohio State? Is it Florida State? Is it Oklahoma? Who you got?
I'm not gonna lie to you, Cal. After watching, I feel like I put Georgia and us in the same boat. I saw both of the Georgia and Auburn game, and I saw the Georgia and Kentucky game. Their quarterback is I feel like he's getting it together as a freshman, and I feel like Jalen Miro is getting it together. For my pick, to long story short, I feel like Georgia is number 1 right now, and I feel like they're coming along the same way we're coming along.
Yeah. Okay. So we got Georgia right now for Jay, and that's fine. Plus, they keep winning. I mean, that's fine. I mean, they went down to Jordan-Hare. It was tough for them until Brock Bowers blew up in the fourth quarter. But they keep winning. Okay, so question number 5, Jay. We got our last question for you. Toughest remaining game: is it Arkansas? Is it Tennessee? Is it LSU? After that open week, is it on the road in Lexington against Kentucky? Is it on the road at Jordan-Hare against Auburn?
LSU, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I mean, of course, the other game, I'm not taking any other team lightly. I'm not taking none of them lightly. That's all red poison. But that Jaden Daniels is a problem. In my opinion, I feel the same way about KJ Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we need to plan for the quarterback run.
Mm-hmm.
A quarterback run can hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
We can stop all the running backs how we want to, but that quarterback run can hurt us dearly.
Mm-hmm.
We need to game plan for that as well. But I just feel like if we can stop Jaden Daniels in the LSU game, I feel like we're going to see Georgia. In my opinion, we're going to see Georgia. Hands down.
Yep.
LSU is my pick.
All right, Jay. Well, I appreciate you always calling in. Thanks for the support, man. Be safe on the road, man. We'll catch up with you soon.
I have one more thing, Kyle. I'm actually coming to the game.
Oh, good. Okay.
So I hope I get a chance to see you or something.
Yeah, I'm. The best way to find me is up in the press box. No, so that's where I see Toby. So Toby is always posted outside of the media room. I usually get there, and I'm usually on the Walk of Champions, at the very top of the Walk of Champions, right before the Walk of Champions happens. So I'm out there with my camera. So if you want to come say what's up, you can't miss me. I look the same. So come up, say what's up. A lot of people do. And it's always good to rap with a lot of people out there. So, yeah, Walk of Champions, right by the Nick Saban statue. That's where you can find me right before the game.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man. Have a good night. Roll Tide.
All right, roll Tide to you, man. Take it easy. It's Jay in Pensacola coming up to beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama and Arkansas this Saturday, October 14th. The time is 11 a.m. TV, ESPN. Alabama favored by 19. I got an email today that I don't think people were expecting that game to be at 11. So they have the homecoming parade. It's at 7 a.m. So that's what time the parade is going to be rolling through downtown. And, that'll be interesting to kind of see the turnout for that. Okay, so moving along, we got a 205, a 334, a 256, and an 832 inside the call queue. We go to a 205. Let's do it right now. Hey, good evening. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
You know who it is? It's Tommy from Leeds, Alabama, dog.
What's up, Tommy? I appreciate you calling in, man, from Leeds, home of the world-famous Toby, man. That's where my boy lives.
Yes, sir. I just hung out with him Saturday, man. I was hoping it would be like I thought it would be, the game that we close them out, but I take a W anyway. I can get it, brother.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, 100%. And look,
about the Bama and Arkansas game, are we favored by 2 touchdowns? Oh, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna put more than 2 touchdowns up on them.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna put 40 up on them.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that. I mean, it's kind of leading off with this Arkansas game because I see that the line is 19, and Alabama covered against Mississippi State. They were able to squeeze it out against Texas A&M, and they covered against Ole Miss. So this would be potentially the 4th consecutive game that Alabama covers. 19 is a lot of points for a team that has a really good quarterback coming back. I was surprised to hear that their running back only has 91 yards this season so far. But the reason I do think about Arkansas is just because of their coach, Sam Pittman. And I know that Coach Saban tried to hire him before he got the head coaching position at Arkansas. And just listening to him speak, I mean, he sounds like a great coach and kind of a player's coach, but whatever. So, okay, so we got that out of the way. Looks like everybody's rolling with Bama big over Arkansas. What about who is your MVP thus far through the first 6 games of the season?
I said Kool-Aid this past week, and I was wrong. And so, the whole season, is it what you're talking about, Cal?
Just so far, yeah, through the first 6 games, because it's felt like this season. Am I wrong on this? This season felt like it was like one season already, and we're in a different season. Like those first 3 games, man, those are some rough times. And now it's a completely different team. It's a completely different mood. People are starting to talk about Alabama again. It feels like a long time ago.
I have 3 actually MVP players.
Okay, that's fine.
Kool-Aid,
okay,
Terrion Arnold, and Caleb Downs.
Yep.
And Caleb Downs got me a pick Saturday. I told everybody he was going to.
So check this out. So Caleb Downs, just a freshman. Check these stats out, okay? 47 tackles on the season. Next in line is 34. So Caleb Downs is leading the team as tackles as just a freshman. I know people are like, you don't want your safety to be leading the team in tackles. It's okay. I mean, he's out there doing his thing. Saban told ESPN's Chris Lowe that he might be the best freshman that he's ever had here. He has 2 interceptions, 2 timely interceptions. He has 1 pass breakup, and his coverage grade for just being a freshman, considering he went up against Texas A&M, and Lane Kiffin, is 85.4, which is outstanding, and he's already earned some Freshman of the Week national honors. So as a freshman, kid is completely balling out. This guy has been everything we expected him to be and more. And then Terrion Arnold, playing opposite of Kool-Aid, he has 32 tackles, 1 interception, 6 pass breakups. His Pro Football Focus grade in coverage is 78.8, and he's one player that has really increased his draft stock, in my opinion. So I appreciate you mentioning those players from the secondary. Okay, who are we sleeping on from this team?
Sleeping on, like, receiver-wise?
Just like anybody. Like who, like, it could, maybe it's a coach. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, who are we sleeping on?
Oh, well, the one you wouldn't want to be sleeping on, that's Jermaine Burton, man. Oh, kid's a monster.
Yeah.
He's come out to play. Like, Saturday, he came out and balled out, man. I didn't expect that, man. But the one you're really sleeping on is that Tim Keenan kid that's just tearing it up right now.
Tim Keenan, and thank you for bringing up Tim Keenan. I've been kind of talking about him the last couple of weeks because I noticed against Ole Miss, that's kind of when I started to really start to watch him. He was chasing down the quarterback. He was everywhere, and he had 8 tackles, which actually led the team against Texas A&M, believe it or not. So Tim Keenan is big. He's imposing, and he moves a lot better than you would think for his size. And he's another player like Jaheim Otis that has really worked on his body type. And I don't know, call me crazy right now, but I think Tim Keenan is probably performing at a higher level than Jaheim Otis. But that's just my opinion. But I appreciate you bringing up Tim Keenan's name. Okay, so who is your number 1 in college football right now?
Well, I mean, I think I might sound dumb saying this, but I think Alabama deserves the number 1 spot if they went out and played Georgia for the SEC championship.
But as of today, is it your team? Is it your number 1? Because that's what Andrew from Douglasville was like. Look, as of today, my number 1 team is Alabama. Do you feel the same way? Like Alabama's your number 1 team?
Oh, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, if Bama starts gelling on offense, it's going to be hard to beat them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, because that defense is only going to get better. The defense isn't going to get worse. So if that and the offense is moving on upward, so that's what I'm saying. It's like if this Alabama offense catches up and Jalen Milroe continues to do his thing, the guy is continuing just to trend upward. And man, it's been quite the 6 games so far to see that offense from week 1 to where we are now. And we're not done. It's not a finished product. It's not going to be finished by the end of Arkansas or against Tennessee. It's going to be something that evolves by the end of the season. And, hopefully by that point, they're playing at the highest level. Okay, my 5th question for you. Toughest remaining game for Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, on the road at Kentucky, or on the road at Auburn. What you got?
Ooh, I would say LSU. We want to get back from last year.
Yep.
What they done to us in Baton Rouge. So yeah, that would be my final one. I would say LSU.
Yep. Okay. All right, Tommy. So anything else, man, before I move to my next caller?
Man, I will be there Saturday cheering on the Crimson Tide. I'm coming there at 11 o'clock kickoff. I hope we just blow them cats out, man.
All right, Tommy. Well, I appreciate you calling in, man. Roll Tide to you, man. And next time you see Toby, tell him what's up.
I will, brother.
All right, man.
You have a good night.
See you, Tommy.
See you.
All right, Tommy calling in. Okay, Toby, my buddy has just texted me his 5 real quick. So I'm going to read these out before I move to my next caller. Call line is open, 205-850-1994. We got a 334, a 256, a 832, and a 786 just joined. Okay, so these are Toby's 1 through 5. So number 1, Bama is much better than Arkansas by 2 touchdowns. So Toby's taking the way over on the points. His MVP thus far is Jalen Milroe, and he has Jermaine Burton. So Jalen Milroe on the season, what's amazing about Jalen Milroe is his Pro Football Focus grade is 88.6, which leads the entire offense. He threw for 321 yards against Texas A&M. This is the most amazing thing about Jalen Milroe. He's 17 of 25, passing for 7 touchdowns in passes that are 20 yards plus downfield. His Pro Football Focus grade for his deep ball, the grade is 99.1, only second in the country to Jaden Daniels of LSU. He has 1,298 yards with 9 touchdowns and 4 interceptions on the season. Toby, who are we sleeping on? Toby says we are sleeping on Malik Benson, which I think I would agree with that. I think you just got to get Malik Benson the football, but he's kind of one of those guys that we were hoping to get the football to more, and maybe that will come later on, but absolutely. And then Toby's number 1 right now. He has Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, and then for his 5th, the toughest remaining game, Toby says none of them. So Toby's rolling, and so are we. We're rolling to the next call. Appreciate the text in, Toby, and we move right now to our 334. Hey, good evening. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Man, it's Daniel from Calera.
Hey, what's up, Coach? How you doing, man? I appreciate you calling back. I know last time we got disconnected. Our phone line wasn't that tight, but thanks for calling back to the show, man. Welcome on in. And you buying this that Alabama is 2-3 touchdowns better than Arkansas?
For me, I'm gonna back up some because y'all been talking about Tim Keenan.
Mm-hmm.
When I used to be the head football coach at Winona High School about 3 years ago, Tim Keenan played at Ramsey. That's one of our rivalry games.
Yep.
And I was telling people, I was like, this kid is a monster. We couldn't block him to save our life. I think he's like 6'4", like 330 at the time in high school. And he was quick and fast. So to hear people talk about Tim Keenan now, it made me feel so good. I'm like, okay, now everybody see what I had to go through when I was the head football coach at Winona High School when we were trying to block that big summer gun. He was a low back then. He's like being low now. So, yeah, I had to make sure everybody know that. I used to be the head football coach at Winona.
Wait, so Coach, I remember before when when there was an interview that we got with Tim Keenan when he was at Ramsey. And I don't know who he played. I don't think it was you guys, but somebody else. And Tim was much bigger. He weighed much more, but he was so dominant. And well, I remember we asked him, "What's your best thing about playing defense?" And Tim Keenan at the time, I'm not exaggerating. He's like 350 pounds. He was like honestly landing on someone and hearing them groan. So that's what he said. Like the dude he was a monster, 100%. So, anyways, thanks for adding that because Tim Keenan playing through the roof. The guy has a motor, and man, I mean, just an elite athlete, 100%. All right. So with that said, Coach, what else you got?
Yeah, but the Arkansas game, you said about buying it. For me right now, Alabama's still like a box of chocolates. I said it last week. You never know what you're going to get when you stick your head in the jar. We can all see us. Alabama beat Texas A&M. They're going to come out and beat Arkansas by 20 points. Man, we'll be in the old Donnybrook in the fourth quarter, score 13-17. Mm-hmm. So you can never tell with this team with Alabama. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Milroe threw for 300 yards, but he's been inconsistent all season. Mm-hmm. The defense is kind of iffy sometimes. Everybody, defense elite. Yeah, at spots they're really, really good. Mm-hmm. But they have a time where they'll fall asleep. Like I done at least 3 drives in that Texas A&M game. Mm-hmm. The defense fell asleep. It's like Texas A&M was walking down the field on them. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden they'll just wake up out of nowhere. So to me, I want to see the team practice more on keeping their drive and their intensity level up and play a complete game. So like Coach Toby been saying, he on the same stuff I'm on because we've been coaching ball forever. That's the hardest thing to do is to keep a team motivated to win when everybody else around them patting them on their back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. No, you got to be consistent.
Yep. And that's why I think it's been great for Coach Saban to finally have a team that isn't 1 or 2 right now, because he's been able to really coach these guys up. And as a coach, it's much better when your team is laying in the weeds than it is with the target on their back, right? Those are 2 different teams that you have to coach, right? Because just like Coach Saban said tonight during his press conference, everybody's reading their phone. The players, they say they're blocking out the noise. They're reading the same stuff that we're seeing, right? Or we're producing. So, but seeing that they're 11, they're like, oh yeah, we're 11. All right, we'll show you guys on Saturday. So having them kind of laid back, I think, is better for a team of this caliber. Okay, with that said, Coach, who is your MVP so far through 6 games?
My offensive MVP, I'm going to still say Jalen Milroe. Because, everybody was doubting him before the season started. That he can't throw. Shep the best. Boucher the best. He throw too many picks. So I'm going to say Milroe. And defense, I'm going to say Tim Keenan. Tim Keenan is a hog. Everybody else, they get so caught up with all the fancy stuff in the secondary, the pretty linebackers, the defensive ends. The football team stars on the interior. And you look at the offensive line, you can tell. From the offensive line, the guard, center, and guard, they're killing Alabama right now. On defense, what's helping Alabama, that 3 technique and that 1 technique. That's Tim Keenan, I think Tim Smith. But I'm going to go with Tim Keenan because a guy that be 330 pounds, that's 6'4", that move the way he moves. It's a tie. Tim Smith and Tim Keenan are my MVPs of defense.
All right, I like with you going the defensive trenches, Coach. Okay, who are we sleeping on? Not talking enough about right now as we enter this next game against Arkansas.
Tim Keenan. He's been a dog. Tim Keenan been a dog. I mean, he's not getting no talk about on ESPN or nowhere. That kid is playing like Quentin Williams. They used to play at Winona High School before I got there. He's playing just like him, and nobody hasn't said a word. That kid is a monster. He's unblockable. He plays with a high motor. He got good hands. His feet quick. He explodes. With that initial explosion he do, I seen guards go snap back. That's a dog. He make linebackers play better. He make defensive ends not get double teamed. That's Tim Keenan.
Who is your number 1 right now in college football, Coach?
As an Alabama fan, I'm gonna say Alabama. But if a realist, I gotta say Michigan. Even though Michigan haven't played anybody yet, you still see signs of a team that can give you pure hell fits. Their defense look tough. They're good in the trenches. Secondary guys don't get beat all the time. Don't have guys running wide open. And they run the football. They got 2-headed running back that will get anybody fit later on. So I got to say Michigan is number 1. But as an Alabama fan, I'm going to say Alabama because I'm hoping you're speaking into existence it's going to happen. So I'm going to say Alabama because right now, look at Alabama right now and watch them before they play Auburn. They're like a totally different team.
And the thing about Michigan too is, their schedule hasn't been, that high of caliber, but they're still not allowing teams to score. So, they're doing what they're supposed to do. It's just, I guess we'll just have to wait till they see play Penn State or Ohio State here later on. Okay, last question I got for you, Coach. Toughest remaining game on Alabama's schedule. I know it's always the next game, but, this is a show. It's an entertainment. So is it Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, Kentucky, or Auburn?
Yeah. Okay, the cliche is the next game, like you just said. But realistic, the Iron Bowl. Man, I'm playing the Iron Bowl several times. I don't care what your record is. I don't care how bad Auburn is. Playing at Auburn at nighttime in Jordan Hare, Auburn players automatically get a 20-plus boost on all their attributes. All of a sudden, their quarterback going to play like the Heisman contender. I know. If the offensive line don't get they silent count stuff together, we can find ourselves in a dogfight against Auburn the last game of the season.
All right, Coach. Anything else before I move to my next caller?
Oh, yes, man. Like I was telling anybody, I was talking to one of my buddies today about the game. I was like, the Texas A&M game, Bama still shows signs of a team that still ain't quite there yet. Because you see all those mistakes they had. People think when they win, they had 14 penalties. One time they had 3 straight penalties back to back. I'm like, that's an undisciplined team. You got to punish those kids for that. But again, we still know Bama's a young football team. They are trying to find a way. I said, people be patient with the team, the ups and the downs. Come Auburn game, Bama go like a totally different team.
Yep.
And Georgia's going to have hell on their head in the SEC championship game.
Yep. Coach, well, I appreciate you calling in again. Thanks for the insight, and thanks for hyping up our boy Tim Keenan, man. Call in again and call in anytime, all right?
All right, 10-4.
All right, man. See you, Coach. All right, we got a 256, a 832, and a 786 inside the call queue. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys joining me tonight on this beautiful Wednesday, October 11th. You can watch Coach Saban's press conference in its entirety back on our YouTube channel tonight. He talked about the solar eclipse, which is going to happen Saturday. Isn't that crazy? There's literally going to be an eclipse during the game. Like, I mean, what are the chances of that? This is actually the second time that Coach Saban has been asked about an eclipse. The last time was when I first moved here, and you can look it up on YouTube. It was honestly such a funny clip because the eclipse, this type of eclipse was the one, I mean, you can't look up at any eclipse, but this one was like really dangerous if you like went out and just like looked up at it. So they asked Coach Saban about the eclipse, and he said that he was like, well, you can go to the Weather Channel, because that's Coach Saban's like main thing is the Weather Channel. And he was like, you can see what the eclipse is going to look at every single hour. And then he said that I guess they made like the glasses for the team to go out. So if the players were practicing and they wanted to stop practicing real quick and like look up at the sky, they could. So I thought that was hilarious. He spoke about Tim Keenan. He talked about the left tackles, and he talked about Malachi Moore. By the way, Malachi Moore will be a game time decision along with James Burnap on Saturday. And it looks like Ja'Cory Brooks was able to practice this week. So, if Malachi Moore can't go, then you have Terran Arnold, who will be at star, and then you have Trey Amos, who will be at corner. And then if James Burnap can't go, who's the team's punter, you have Will Riker. And someone asked in our community tab, they were like, I thought that Will Riker was the punter and the kicker, and that Burnap was coming in on like garbage time. Those are two different positions. So you have, your kicker, who's kicks field goals and kickoffs, and then you have your punter who punts. So, and actually this year the punter actually holds. So it's James Burnap holder, which is pretty significant. Who would be the backup holder? Maybe it would be Ty Simpson. I'm not sure. Okay, we go back to the phone lines at 256. We start right now. Hey, good evening. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, this is Greg from Athens.
Hey, Greg.
Alabama.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate you calling in. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I really enjoy your show on Roll Tide.
Yeah, Roll Tide to you, man. Go ahead.
I just wanted to start out by saying it was a great win Saturday. I think we're improving. We still got a long way to go on the penalties. If we can ever just get the penalties rectified, I think we're going to be much better. I don't know about you, Kyle, but every time we score a touchdown, I cringe. I'm always waiting for a flag.
Yeah, I mean, this season there has been, 6 touchdowns that have been taken away? You have 2 for Jermaine Burton.
Yeah.
You have Terran Arnold's kickoff return. You have the blocked punt or the blocked field goal, and then a couple others.
Yep.
And crucial, touchdowns. I mean, that one against Texas A&M, man, that was a huge play because Alabama only got a field goal out of that.
Gosh.
And I had that score 31-17 or whatever. It would have been pretty dang close if that score would have came through. But luckily, Alabama was able to, kind of put it together and controlled that second half of the game. But they've had 6 touchdowns, which is crazy. So is Bama, you kind of agreeing with everybody else that Bama, I know the line is 19, that's the rat poison for Alabama, but collectively, do you think this team puts together 4 quarters and dominates the Hogs?
Yeah, I really do. I feel like we'll win by more than 2 touchdowns. This is the only team besides maybe the Central Florida team, whatever, I felt confident for sure because their offensive line is really having a lot of struggles. and our defensive line is getting better and better and better every week. So I think that's going to be a huge, huge part of the game. I think we're going to control the line of scrimmage. And I really feel like on offense we'll still, we'll probably maybe only score, maybe 27. We might get lucky and get 30, but if we can keep our penalties down, we might get a little more. But I think we're honestly going to hold them to around 10 to 14. They're having a hard time moving the ball. They don't really have any weapons. Rocket's hurt, their best running back. He hasn't done anything. So as long as we don't fall asleep on defense and we play like we've been playing, I really feel like we're going to really shut them down. I just depend on what we can do on offense. Hopefully we can run maybe a little bit on them. And I really think we're a passing team. I know everybody thinks we're going to be a running team, but I really think we're honestly our best weapons are our wide receivers and Jalen's deep ball. I'd say let's throw it and maybe – I know we want to run the ball, but I still think we should throw it 30 times a game.
Mm-hmm. You had Jalen throw it over 30 times this last game. I just think the great thing was, we're on with Greg from Athens, is the fact that Texas A&M literally challenged Jalen Milroe to beat them over top, and he did that. And we know that this team can run the football. I get it. Last week, Texas A&M, a lot of it was the play design to stop Alabama and force them to run. With that said, there was some execution errors, and Alabama should have been able to run the ball a little bit better than what they did. But if they become a balanced team and probably more throw than run, they have the wide receivers for sure. They certainly do. The wide receivers this year are better than the wide receivers collectively last year, so I agree with you on that. And just like some of our other callers have said, if you get the ball to Malik Benson or Amari Niblack or Kendrick Law, by the way, he looked good returning kicks. I really like that. He runs really hard. Yeah. Kobe Prentice has been, a really good slot. So there's a ton of guys to get the ball to. So maybe, as Coach Saban said, it will continue to evolve. Who's your MVP so far through 6 games of the season?
Well, I'm going to say this. The only consistent player, honestly, that's been really at a high level is Will Riker. He's kept us, some of the scoring that we've had to depend on the field goals and the extra points. Of course, I love Dallas Turner. There's all these other things, but honestly, he's been those, sometimes he's getting almost 12 points a game or more. So that's usually about half of what we score. We've had to have him, and he's hit. We've had to have him. Then we had to have him as a punter. I don't know how many reps he gets a day, but I bet he don't get that many. He averaged over 40 yards a punt. So,
he's
it's weird to say, but I thought
he's scoring. He's scoring 9 points a game. This season. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, what do we average in a game? 24, 25 points a game if we're lucky. So he's almost got half of it by himself. So, that's crazy to say, but our offense we haven't scored a lot of points. So our field goal kicker, just think if he would have had a really bad off year, we might have lost Saturday, and we could have lost the Ole Miss game. So I really feel like, unbelievably, after all the other great players that we have, I really feel like our kicker is our most valuable player so far.
Well, he could be the all-time.
We might get better on offense, and that might change.
Well, he could become the all-time leading scorer in college football history here in the next couple games, which is mind-boggling, right? And when you look at the leading scorer, even at Alabama, you might think like Bryce Young or Tua. Nope, up at the top is Will Riker.
He just doesn't miss. He doesn't miss.
25 in a row. And look, it's a long season. A lot can happen. But, it is what it is. These are the facts. And the guy is ice cold, and you're right. He's been money in crunch time. Okay, from this team collectively, who are we not talking about? Who are we sleeping on? Who do you feel needs more notoriety? Or who is a player that you feel might step up in the next 6 games?
I think it's going to be number 47, James Smith. I've seen him get in a couple games, and he really gets a push. He just makes things happen. I think it could be James Smith. And, of course, we're waiting for, Haynes, if he ever gets to play. And I'm hearing I keep hearing more and more people think he's going to get some carries this week.
Mm-hmm.
So those would be my two. Even though we're not sleeping on Haynes, everybody's up almost in an uproar. I really feel like he's better than Rodell. I'm sorry. I mean, he's a pretty good, tough little runner,
Mm-hmm.
but I think if Haynes ever gets the ball and gets going, his days are numbered. I mean, he's going to be the number 2 running back. Him and Jace are going to do it, and I think that's coming soon.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are, we have someone inside the comment box that just said free justice. And look, yeah, you're right, because I don't like Jace and Roydell, each of those guys have been healthy and they've been able just to do what has been needed to do. But I think Justice might have that extra playmaking ability factor that, that's why people want him on the field. He hasn't gotten opportunities.
Exactly.
Those opportunities hopefully will come for him at the right time. We've seen it happen before when guys are patient and they continue to stay at it and they get on the field. I have no idea, what his mindset is, but the best advice would be just to stay patient, right? Because you're just 1 play away, 2 plays away from getting significant time within that running back room. We've seen it happen almost every year. I mean, Alabama just rotates in these running backs, and it's a gauntlet of a season. And, who knows? I mean, there could be a time where we need him to step up. And the run that he had against Mississippi State where he got the ball and he kind of put his hand on the ground and kept on going, that's the type of player. He scored 3 touchdowns during the spring game. Guy's a complete baller. Okay, you're number 1 right now in college football. Is it Georgia? Is it Michigan? Is it Ohio State? Is it Florida State? Is it somebody else?
You left off I mean, of course, I think we will have a good shot once we keep improving, because I don't think anybody else has a higher ceiling than we do.
Mm-hmm.
But we're the youngest team out of all these teams, too, also, new starters. So I'm going to put that because I'm a homer, but I'm going to tell you, the team that's got the best win beat the team that did have the best win. I'm going to say Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma should be number 1 because Texas, I thought, had the best win beating us at home. Mm-hmm. And they played them in Dallas, a 50-50 crowd, and they beat them. So to me, I think Oklahoma should be number 1.
You're the first caller to say that, and I do like that call. I mean, the quarterback is outstanding. Dylan Gabriel's a baller. And in that first game, I'm sure you guys watched it too, Texas had so many turnovers, and it was one of those rivalry games, just like Alabama's about to play in the later of the season against Auburn. Now, Oklahoma's a lot better than Auburn, but, like the 50-50 crowd, there was just a lot of weird things going on. Tip balls were coming up. Players were it was just one of those environments. And hopefully we get to see Oklahoma and Texas play again. And that's going to impact Alabama because Alabama lost to Texas head-to-head. So you need to continue to see, kind of what transpires with that. And that's why if you're an Alabama fan, you're hoping that Georgia almost wins out and that Alabama beats Georgia because that will cement Alabama into the playoffs 100%. You beat an undefeated Georgia team that hasn't lost in however many games, you're in the playoffs 100%. Okay, let's see. Toughest remaining game on Alabama's schedule: Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, trip to Kentucky, at Auburn. What you think?
Well, the only thing it really can there's 2 games actually. The LSU game, can we score enough points? Mm-hmm. But I really don't know. LSU's not going to score 40 on us, and I don't know if they'll score 30 on us. Mm-hmm. I do feel like we can, if our running game gets a little bit better, and we are, like you said, try to get a little more balance, but we're still throwing the ball. I think we'll score 40 on them. So I think, and we have a week off to prepare, hopefully come up with a good game plan against Daniels. That'll help. But that Auburn game, man, you know how weird it is. It's always crazy. They throw the kitchen sink at us. The crazy things happen down there. I hope it's not a night game. And, we'll have – if we keep winning, that'll be their Super Bowl. It'll be them putting us out of potentially getting to the Final Four.
Yeah, they have a one-game Super Bowl. Yeah. It's a one-game Super Bowl every single year. Okay. Well, thanks so much for calling in. I appreciate you. Please call again next time, and I appreciate the call from Athens, Alabama.
All right. Thank you. Roll Tide.
All right. Roll Tide to you. That was Greg in Athens, Alabama. We got 832, a 786, and a 205 inside the call queue. Davis says, who will win the Super Bowl, Tua or Jalen? I'm saying Brock Purdy and the 49ers. They'll take down the Dolphins, right? Yo, the Niners offense is straight fire. I mean, the way that they handle business against the Cowboys, I know the Cowboys are struggling or whatever, but still, that offense, man. But can you imagine Tua and Jalen? Man, the Eagles are so good. And Tua dropped, 70 a couple weeks ago? And all those guys balling out. Love to see it. Okay, back to the call line, 832. Let's get it. Hey, how's it going? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Thanks for being patient. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
This is Mike from Austin, Texas.
What's up, Mike? I appreciate you calling in, man. Lot to dive into. Alabama now 5-1 on the season, takes on Arkansas this Saturday, favored by 19. Kickoff at 11 a.m. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I just want to say, first of all, here in Austin, these Longhorn fans were brought down to earth a little bit with that loss they took at OU, which I'm happy about that, to be honest with you. Another thing I want to say, man, is we got 3 Big Ten teams in the top 5. How in the world is that possible? I mean, out of their hardest, between them 3 teams, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State, their hardest 2 out-of-conference games have been Notre Dame and West Virginia. That's the hardest 2 out-of-conference games they played. So how in the world these 3 top teams in the top 5? And with that being said, 2 of them's going to be a shoe in the playoff because they don't play anybody except the 3 play each other. So 2 of them are probably going to go to the playoff just because of who they are, I guess. But that's something I'm having to wrap my brain around too, to be honest with you. So I don't see how in the world anybody, with all due respect, could put Michigan number 1, and they played absolutely nobody. I mean, you take Kentucky, you take any team there is, they would have Michigan's schedule. They'd be undefeated too. So I don't see how in the world Michigan can be anywhere near me because we don't know. I understand the potential's there, but if they ain't going to play nobody, they need not be ranked number 2. And we see what happened last time they played a decent team in the playoffs last year. So they got beat TCU, Big 12 runner-up.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, too, but just to go down, go ahead, Kyle. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think that, when you look to that Texas and Oklahoma game, and I get it, they might have been brought down to earth, but we can't discount what they've done. I mean, under Steve Sarkisian, right? I think, like, hearing from the Texas fans and stuff like that, like, they've done a great job. And, I mean, this is certainly their team, and I would love to see Alabama and Texas play. I mean, who wouldn't? Love to see a rematch later on in the season, especially the way that Alabama's offense continues to trend upwards. And I know that Milroe would love to get another shot at Texas. And it was good to see him go into Texas, where his family's from, and have a great showing. Everyone saw Milroe coming out and hugging up on his family. I thought that was a great video to watch. Okay, so we've had 6 games thus far. I've been asking people, who's the MVP through 6 games? It could be the offense, defense. I mean, you could be an assistant coach. It could maybe it's Miss Terry. No one said Miss Terry. That might be the pick. It might be Miss Terry because am I wrong? Like, and we've been talking about this before. It seems like the team transformed after she gave Coach Saban the green light to get after him against Mississippi State. But who's your MVP, Mike?
Well, I would have to say maybe I'm off base, but maybe the Caleb Downs, the true freshman safety, I think he is. Mm-hmm. Man, the defensive secondary is tight, and I think he's had a lot to do with the overall play of the defense and then the secondary as well. He seems to be all over the place. Yeah. So I think he was like a MVP of the SEC MVP. Freshman MVP or defensive MVP one of these weeks, but I'd say Caleb Downs has definitely made his mark on the defense. So I'd say so far he's my MVP. Yeah,
I like the pick. I mean, for a freshman to be leading the team in tackles right now and have a coverage grade of 85.4 going up against Texas, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M and those type of wide receivers speaks volumes to the play of him. 2 timely interceptions. I mean, that interception against Texas A&M really changed the momentum of that game. Okay, so who are we sleeping on, or who do you think maybe this team could see more of, or kind of in that aspect of question number 3?
I would say it's Bama's running game. I mean, I guess Chase McClellan and Roydell Williams, I think that for some reason them guys I mean, they've had some good games and they've had some good, good flashes of excellence. But so far, I think the running game only put up 30 yards against A&M or something like that. But anyway, I think them two guys and the running game overall is a sleeper a little bit. The reason why, I think at any time now, they're just ready to get out. I mean, they're ready just to bust it open and take a game over. But I'd say it's our running game's a little underestimated, a little underrated, because I think any given time they can put up 200 yards, 100 yards each. So I'd say it's them two guys right there, our running game. So far, we're sleeping on a little bit.
Yeah, and I think with that said, like, people want to see Justice Haynes, including myself. But I think the great thing is Roydell and Jace have been healthy. And you always want those upperclassmen running backs to be healthy, and they're capable, just like you said, to carry this team. They were the first half of the season or the first couple of games or whatever it was. I mean, each of them hit the 100-yard mark when they had to. Each run really hard. The thing that I really like about Jace and Roydell too is they go north and south. There's no dancing in the background. They just north and south, and they can make cuts and they can get to that second level. But they do a great job in between the tackles. But it's just such a difference between these two running backs. And I get it. The offensive line is different. But remember Jahmyr Gibbs, like, he had such an incredible burst right through the tackles. I mean, that guy, top 10 pick in the NFL draft because of that elite speed. Now, these guys are more imposing, but it's good that they're healthy, and hopefully we see Justice Haynes. Okay, who is your number one in college football? Being that you're close to kind of the Texas Longhorns, you agreeing with our last caller and saying that maybe Oklahoma is the number one team. You going with Georgia, Michigan? Nobody's talking about Florida State. Could it be Florida State? I don't know. Who's your number one, Mike?
Well, it pains me to say, but it's got to be the Georgia Bulldogs until they lose a game. And you can't take away what they've done these last couple of years. And this year, they, just like Bama, as the year goes on, Georgia seems to be getting a little bit better. So I mean, until they actually lose a game, Georgia Bulldogs got to be number one. But with that being said, Georgia Bulldogs got to be number one. And they do have a couple of tough games coming up, but I don't see anybody on their schedule is going to beat them until they play in the championship game. If that's Bama or LSU or somebody, I don't know. But right now, until they get beat, man, it's got to be Georgia. And now they got to know what it's like to be a Bama fan, going undefeated, having a great season, and teams not wanting to put them number one, So, but yeah, it's got to be Georgia. But with that being said, Kyle, it dang sure ain't the Michigan Wolverines.
All right. Okay, so I need some help inside the comment box. What's the streak up to for Georgia? How many games have they won in a row? Could somebody put that inside the comment box? I'd appreciate that. Okay, so Mike, my last question for you. Toughest remaining game for Alabama. Is it Arkansas? Is it Tennessee? LSU? The two road trips to Kentucky and to Auburn? Someone in the comment box said even Chattanooga. So why not? What in your opinion, what's the toughest opponent down the stretch?
Well, that's a pretty tough stretch, to be honest with you. Going through Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, and at Kentucky and at Auburn, that's a pretty tough stretch right there. But I'd say the most dangerous, either between Tennessee or LSU, because I would say LSU. And the reason why, to beat Alabama, you got to have superstar quarterback play. And LSU, it pains me to say, they got the superstar quarterback right now. That guy, Jaden Daniels, I think his name is, when he first came onto the scene, I didn't know what to think about the guy. He transferred in from the Pac-12. He was slow to kind of find his way on the physicality of the SEC. But where he's at now, that guy has come a long way. And believe me, like I said, it pains me to say that. I think he beat Alabama last year. But with that being said, I think LSU is going to be their toughest game they're going to play, or Tennessee, or Tennessee. But that's a tough stretch of games. I mean, even at Kentucky, I think they'll beat Kentucky. But like that previous call seller at Auburn, I mean, I've been to the Iron Bowl, that 4 overtime Iron Bowl. Man, that is a rowdy, raucous, that is a hard place to play. And as much as I hate Auburn, I hate to say, I mean, I don't. That's a tough place to play in. That's a tough place to play going at Auburn. And you see, like, they tend to get lucky or whatever and beat Bama every now and then. But I would say, with that being said, LSU is going to be the toughest game just because they got a good coach and they got Jalen Daniels. And there's a good chance that game will be for the West because LSU's not out of the West. I mean, the West ain't been won yet. So, but I'd say it's going to be the LSU game. It's going to be the toughest game.
Well, I appreciate you calling in, Mike. Always appreciate your call from Austin, Texas. Please call again next time, and thank you very much for the support.
All right. Thank you, too, man. Bye-bye.
All right, man. See you. All right. Yeah, so the good news when you look at this schedule for Alabama is you're right. Someone, I think, put it inside the comment box. That's Eric D. What's up, Eric? I appreciate you. And by the way, thank you. It's 23 games consecutively that Georgia has won. But those games for Arkansas, Tennessee, and then you have an open week, then LSU, all those games are at Bryant-Denny Stadium, which is great for the Crimson Tide before you go to Kentucky, and then you host Chattanooga before you go on the road against Auburn. With that said, we go back to the phone lines, and we got a 786. Hey, good evening. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
What's going on, Kyle? It's Chad from Miami.
What's up, Chad? I appreciate you calling in, man. Welcome to the show. Kind of a lot to dive into as Alabama is now 5-1. People starting to talk about Alabama again. And, this team continues to trend upward, man. So welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, man. Let's see. Number one, yes, I believe Alabama will beat Arkansas by at least 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
They got to cut down on the turnovers and the penalties, and I think they'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
They might have a little bit of difficulty with KJ Jefferson because he's a little bit mobile, but we're going to win that game. Their defense is not going to be fared.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, MVP so far. First 2 games was kind of but after the Texas game, I think the MVP has been Dallas Turner, man. He's stepped into a leadership role and he's been getting at a D-line and other linebackers on the sidelines during the game. So he's really been like pushing the team. It's either him or if not, you see Caleb Downs also talking to guys in the secondary about missing assignments. So I think the main person is Dallas Turner. He's really stepped into a leadership role since that second game, the loss to Texas.
Yeah, 100%. And I think to build on Dallas Turner too, 26 tackles on the season, 6.5 sacks, 9 quarterback hurries, which leads the team 88.2 Pro Football Focus grade when chasing down the quarterback, which is phenomenal. Has 6.5 sacks and that's in the last 4 games. So he's really turned it up. Also won the National Defensive Player of the Week award. So the guy is, this is the Dallas Turner that we expected and wanted him to be. He's doing that right now. Who are we sleeping on, Chad?
It's going to be a weird answer, but I think Tommy Reese, man, he has to do a better job in getting Milroe easier targets, whether that be a tight end or a third receiver over the middle, because I think that's where he's really struggling at with the short passes. Whether it be Nye Black or Law, whoever's playing the slot, man. Tommy Reese need to, I guess, scheme them open a little bit better to get Milroe's confidence going. Because from what you've seen from the last few games, especially the Texas game, he struggles in the first quarter. He gets kind of shaky, and then the team kind of like puts it together in the second quarter. There should be more games where he gets it going right in the beginning of the game instead of waiting until the second half to really start getting it going.
When you look at go ahead, keep it rolling, Chad. Keep rolling.
No, I was gonna say he's been doing a better job, especially from the last 2 games. The first 2 games where a lot of stacks with tight ends.
Mhm.
Sometimes you'll see 2 and 3 tight ends on the field, but he's been mainly using 2, or if not, he'll use 1 with a slot receiver. But he also has to make it a little bit easier on the develop some easier passing routes so the offensive line doesn't have to block for so long. Because I think I called in a few days ago when Jalen Milroe has so much time. He doesn't have lateral quickness. He has more like north-south quickness or whatever.
100%.
So he takes a lot of time. So he needs a easier target in the middle of the field to have some easy completions.
Mm-hmm. When you look to the top teams in college football, I've been asking everybody. I think I got an Oklahoma vote for number 1, but mostly it's been Georgia. Nobody wants Michigan. Nobody even hears when I say Florida State. I'm like, is it Florida State? And aren't they ranked like 4th or something like that in the AP poll? But nobody has even mentioned them. Who do you think is your top team? I'm just saying today, like October 11, 2023.
So basically, like I told you a few days ago, man, a lot of these teams that are ranked in the top 10, they haven't played each other yet. Like a lot of the Big 12, the Big 10, and the Pac-12 teams are going to play each other, and they're all listed in the top 10, and not all of them are going to be making in the top 4. So I think Florida State is definitely a pretender. USC is a pretender because they don't play defense at all. And USC, Oregon, and Washington, they're all going to either be playing each other, going to be playing against UCLA, Oregon State, Oregon, and Utah. So I believe only one team is going to be coming out of that division. Same thing for the Big 12. I believe Texas and Oklahoma will be playing each other again in the championship if either team can get past Kansas. And then the same thing in the Big 10. The Big 10, I know a few of the teams are going to be playing each other. Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State are going to be playing each other, but they also have to play Maryland and a few other somewhat contenders in their division. So I believe only one team in each of those divisions will be advancing to the playoffs, and then also one team in the SEC, because let's be real, Georgia hasn't played anybody in the last 2 seasons until they got to the playoffs. So with their weak schedule, if they lose in the SEC championship game, and I'm hoping it's Alabama, they're not making to the playoffs because they haven't played anybody this year. Like, they're supposed to play Oklahoma, but somehow that game got vacated. So they haven't really played anybody besides Kentucky. I believe the best team that's put together the best resume, well, not resume, but has looked well so far on offense and defense and special teams is Michigan. Michigan has played the best so far. It's either Michigan, and then the second team after that is Oklahoma. But Michigan is the top team for me right now.
Let's look at Michigan's football schedule real quick, just to look at it. All right, so I'm gonna bring up. Just stay with me, Chad. Let's look up this schedule real quick, and then we'll.
I'm not saying Michigan has played the greatest schedule. Yeah, I'm just saying they look the most complete.
Yeah,
so far.
yeah. I'm just kind of curious, just to. I've of course looked at the schedule, but let's put it up on the big board real quick. Okay.
There was a crazy stat on Fox Sport. What's his name?
Joe Klatt,
former quarterback for
Klatt.
Joe Klatt.
Yeah.
Joe Klatt. So basically, he said a crazy stat. Michigan, they're the most loaded team in college football. They dress almost 80 players every week, and then this past weekend that they played, all but one player didn't get a snap.
Wow. Huh.
So they played almost 80 players this past weekend that whichever team they played.
Man, their schedule has been just really light. Look at that. East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, Rutgers, Nebraska, Minnesota. Okay, so they're going to take on these next games. Okay, Indiana, Michigan State.
Yeah.
Then they're open, and then the back end.
They haven't really played.
So their schedule doesn't even start until November. We got Purdue, at Penn State, at Maryland. Yeah. So so Michigan's schedule doesn't start until November. That's basically what I learned from that.
You're breaking up.
I was just saying that Michigan's schedule doesn't start till my birthday month, which is in November. So, all right, Chad. Last question, man. Toughest game on the schedule that remains for Alabama. Is it the next one up? Is it LSU? Is it who you guys' toughest remaining game for Alabama?
The toughest team I believe is remaining is going to be LSU, but Auburn is always a sneaky team, man. They play as well because they're still in state and they're also in the division. So they're a sleeper team, but I believe LSU because they have a quarterback. And I don't think the LSU the only person on LSU defense is probably going to hurt us is Perkins, the linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
But their defense hasn't been playing hard this season. But Jalen, their quarterback, is definitely going to be a problem. I believe we have to at least score somewhere around 35 to 40 points to beat LSU, unless our defense really step down and lock him down, unlike last year. And then my last point is we need to start playing some of the players, man. The new recruits or guys that's been sitting, especially due to injury, because we need depth, man. Especially in our defense. I'm not sure if you've been paying attention, but most of the guys that are in the defensive rotation, especially in the secondary, are seniors or if not fifth-year seniors.
Mm-hmm.
Malachi's a senior, Jalen Key and Amos are fifth-year seniors. Terran Arnold, even though he's a redshirt sophomore, he's been playing better than Kool-Aid, and he's eligible for the NFL draft. And I'm not sure if he might stay or not, but I think he should. Kool-Aid is going in the draft, so the only player in our secondary that's not draft eligible in the rotation is Caleb Downs right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Christian Story might be coming back next year, man. So we got to start getting some depth in our secondary. Tresman Marshall is gone also. He's a fifth-year senior.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we have two D-line, our second in our D-line that are also fifth-year seniors that's going to be gone and draft eligible. Braswell and Dallas Turner, they're going to the draft. They're draft eligible. And then the entire right side of our offensive line from center, guard, right tackle, tight end Dupree, and then I believe a couple of our wide receivers are seniors, or if not, they're gonna be transferring, man, because they haven't been getting a lot of playing time.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe we need to start that, and also both of our starting running backs are seniors.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe it's time we start getting some young guys in, so we don't have a slow start like we did this year, so they can have a little bit of experience. It's like Michigan is pretty much, I believe Michigan and Georgia are built exactly like Alabama in terms of big offensive line and stout defense. And so is Texas. Texas pretty much stole our style, but they have more guys in the rotation where they're getting playing time and somewhat some experience. So even though they might not be full-time starters this year, when they get into a starting role, they pretty much have a little bit of experience and know what to expect. So I believe we just need to start playing some of our guys, especially with Malachi Moore injured now. And then when Christian Story's been playing the dime, he hasn't been playing very well. So Jake Pope, Earl Little, a lot of guys are sitting waiting, man. So I believe they should get a little bit of playing time, especially on our O-line, and then Justice Haynes too, man. He's been balling. So it's time to get a few of the guys in the rotation so we can be ready for next year also. Yeah,
good point, Chad. Well, I got to move to my next caller, man, but please call again next time, and appreciate the support.
All right, thanks.
Chad with a good call regarding, getting some of these players opportunities. And I think what makes it challenging for these guys to get on the field is this team isn't fully developed yet. So it's not like you can just sub in guys, because Alabama really hasn't been at that point yet to where they're just, been in a dominating position, right? It's kind of almost been survive in advance for these last couple games. And I know they got up on Mississippi State, but for the most part, I think that they've had to, really, they're still building this team. And I think maybe when it's time, some of these other guys will get opportunities, and who knows about Malachi Moore. Maybe we'll see some, if he can play this weekend, because Coach Saban said that he's not quite out yet. Maybe some other guys, like Chad was saying, it would be nice to see Earl Little. But also, I was listening to Coach Prime today, Colorado, and he's like, we love the transfer portal. And a lot of the guys that we're going to be recruiting aren't even in the transfer portal. And I think, he's right. I mean, the transfer portal world must be so alluring to prospects who aren't playing right now. And that's kind of just the world that we live in. But you've seen if the guys stick it out and they remain on the roster. For example, a great story is Chris Broswell. This guy could have left. He was behind William Anderson. He's behind Dallas Turner. Waited his turn, and now just wait. With his athleticism and the way that he's been playing, that guy at worst is a second-round draft pick in the NFL. He's making money, right, by coming back. So Jermaine Burton, another guy that could have left, and he did transfer, but he transferred to the right school at the right time. And he did what was right for him. So the transfer world is going to be interesting. There's going to be guys that are processed out. There's guys that are going to make the jump. That's just kind of the world we live in. All right, we go back to the phone lines with a 205. We'll start right now. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
What's up, Kyle? This is Taylor from Birmingham.
Hey, what's up, Taylor? How you doing, man? Appreciate you calling in.
Good.
So Alabama is 5-1. This is a completely different team. Now everybody in the national media, they're like, oh, turning your heads to Tuscaloosa. Coach Saban hasn't lost his fastball, right? The cake has been baked. Jalen Milroe, we got a nice little bite out of the cake when he throws for 321. I've been asking callers, these 5 questions that are posed on the graphic, and we'll just start right now. You think Alabama is better or beats Arkansas by more than 2 touchdowns? The line's at 19 points right now.
Well, first of all, I want to say I'm glad that cake is finally baked and done with. That week, I guess it was week 3, that had me a little stressed out, but I'm glad that cake's out of the oven. But I think this, I don't know, 19 points is a little, it's a little high, especially with our first half play. I think that, we have a tendency to not come out as strong. I think the past 5 years has kind of blinded everybody to the old school Alabama football when you have people like Mac Jones and Tua and Bryce coming out and just slinging it all over the yard. I saw some highlights today of an Arkansas game. It was Mac Jones' first start. I guess it was an injured game. Somebody was injured and Mac got the start, and that was when we had all the ride outs. And it was like 30-0, and I looked at the clock and it was 12 minutes left in the second quarter. So I don't know how many times we're going to be doing that, but 19 is a little high. But if we come out and if Jalen picks up where he left off and we play a second half game like we usually do, I don't think it's impossible. But Arkansas is a sneaky good team. They have a really, really good quarterback, and luckily not luckily. I hope he gets better, but Rocket Sanders is injured. And I think they've had a ton of close games, but I don't think their coaching is really helping them a bunch. They've even goes back to last year. They just can't seem to. They always put themselves in a position to get that big time win, and it just never works out for them.
Coach, I was going to ask you about a couple more questions, and one is about. I'm not going to ask you about Dan Enos, but Coach Saban was asked about Dan Enos today, who's with Arkansas. And remember Dan Enos, he came here, and the way that he left, the rumor is that he just left. Like he didn't even, this is like the rumor, is that he just left. And did you, so there's an article that you could read, and it was by Yahoo Sports. So, Coach Saban, he goes into a meeting, and it's a coaches meeting, and Dan Enos isn't there, and he's like, "Where's Dan?" And everyone's like, "I don't know, Coach. I don't know." Like, I think some of the coaches knew, but they're like, "I don't know." And he's like,
"I can imagine. He was
like, so the article says he's like, well. Did anyone hear from him? People were like, no. And Coach Saban's like, did anyone call him on the phone? So I guess his office, he just literally left a pencil on his desk and just bounced out. That's what people say. So I don't know.
I didn't know that. I hope that we pay some payback for that. Maybe we will cover that. That 19 point stuff looks a little more realistic now.
Saban was talking about it today. Not that, but talking about Dan Enos and kind of the welcome back to Tuscaloosa. Okay, so your MVP through 6 games so far is?
I mean, there's a lot of guys that I think that probably, you could give that title to. But, just to me, I think that Braswell has just been such he's got that. He's made a couple of those big plays.
Yeah.
I think that, in that Mississippi State game, we had that first drive and it didn't look that good. We took a sack and I was kind of wondering, God, I don't want this to be another stressful game. And then when he got that interception and ran it back, it just felt like old school Alabama football was back. Our defense is going to bail us out of any wrong, any slow start or whatever. And, and that bull rush that he has, that's got to be the most dominant move in college football from any edge rusher right now. I mean, I know Turner's fast on the outside, but that Braswell bull rush is deadly. I guess I'd say him, but I think Keenan has really allowed. I forget who called earlier. I think some coach called, I guess. I think he said he was a coach.
I think actually, let's see if we can get him back. Hang on tight. Well, I got disconnected. Sorry. It happens. For whatever reason, I get disconnected. So just give me it'll take 2 seconds. I'll be right. All right, my bad, Taylor. All right, we are talking about Tim Keenan, Chris Braswell being your MVP. So who do you think that we're sleeping on when you kind of look to this team collectively, who could maybe have a big next 6 games, or maybe a big game this coming weekend, or maybe some of that we just haven't really talked about?
A sleeper, I don't know. I mean, I think that if our D-line keeps doing how it is doing, and these rotational guys, like Tim Smith, I think he's played well this year. Yeah. After the Texas game, I was really trying to analyze and see who I could lean on to, really rely on some pass rush. I think him, and I think we may need to get James Smith in the game a little more. Freshman, the 5-star freshman, he is, and I saw a video of Iboigbe coaching him up the other day, and that's a good sign to see. These rotational defensive linemen, I think that they help the team a bunch. And, obviously an offensive sleeper, I would say, I'd say Isaiah Bond. I know he had a big catch the other week, but he's so sure-handed. When was the last time he dropped a football?
I mean, that's the one thing about this whole wide receiver room. As much as they were criticized in the fall time, remember, all during the fall, we were like, these receivers, they can't catch these receivers have been
after the A-Day.
Man, they've been money this year.
The A-Day game, it was nobody can catch. We got the drop. I think they've done well.
Eric is saying, my brother mentioned Latham on the defense. Yeah, I mean, some of these guys in the defensive trenches, you're starting to see more and more. Even you got Damon Payne kind of sprinkled in there as well. Right? I mean, so it's good to kind of see some of these younger guys, the rotation, like Chad from Miami was like, we need to start to see some of these guys. You're starting to see it. I mean, the thing about, Jahad Campbell, I mean, he gets in for Deontay Lawson, comes in with 14 tackles, and he only plays 15 snaps against Texas A&M. That's okay. You got the experience, and we now know that he can rise up when his name is called on again, which it will be soon. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll be him. And
that guy,
he's phenomenal. I mean, he's absolutely phenomenal.
He's scary, man. That Jackson Dart probably didn't want to play him again. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, no way. Okay, so who's your number one in college football right now when you look kind of to the rankings?
I've listened to everybody's calls in here tonight. I'm a true Bammer, but I can't. I would have to say Georgia right now. I think they have, and that's the good thing. It's not a 6-week season. I'm glad that the playoff selection isn't tomorrow. I'm glad we have 6 weeks to iron everything out, because I think if you watch that Texas A&M game, there's no way that you could think Alabama's the number one team in the nation. But if you know football, there's no way that you couldn't think that they could be the best. You know, they show potential and shoot themselves in the foot more than any team I've ever seen. I mean, comparable to last year, I guess, and you saw what happened there. But if we can fix that, I mean, there's no telling how good this team could be. And I don't think Georgia is. I think you have to put them number one. But, and I mean, Oregon and Washington, they'll sort themselves out. I would lean Oregon over Washington for maybe a 3 or a 4 spot. But Georgia, Oklahoma, Michigan, they hadn't played anybody, but they seem dominant from what I've seen. But I would say Georgia has got to be the number one team right now. But, that's like I said, it's not a 6-week season. We got some time to – hopefully we're hitting our stride by the time we get to LSU.
All right, and my final question for you is the toughest remaining game: Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, trips to Kentucky or Auburn. What you got?
Toughest team to play would be LSU, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
That's how deadly Jay Daniels has been incredible this year. But a toughest game overall, I would think. LSU is tough to beat, but I mean Auburn has got to be that game, especially if we come in there rolling. I forget whoever called and said that, but he made a great point. If we come in there rolling to, look like we can solidify a chance to have a spot to beat Georgia and make the playoff, that's Auburn's Super Bowl. I mean,
yep.
And playing in Georgia Air, I've just graduated from Alabama in 2021, and I went to the Iron Bowl numerous times. And I'm not going back because every single time I go, it never goes well. And, I mean,
no,
I wish I would have went to the overtime game though.
No, it's crazy. I'm serious. Like every time I've been there too, it's bananas. Like it's absolutely bananas. I won't be going this year.
Props to Auburn though too.
My media credentials, they didn't approve them. The girl who does the media credentials at Auburn was like, "Nope, you're not a real media person." So. I guess I'm like, okay. So I'll be at home and I'll be watching with you guys. Okay, man. Well, I appreciate you, Taylor, calling in, man. Please call again. And thanks for the support.
Absolutely, Kyle.
All right, man. Take it easy. Roll Tide. All right, we got a 256. This will be my last caller. So 602. I don't want to make you wait on the line. I know you've already been on for 2 minutes, but our 256 will be our last caller of the night. So 602, you can hang up and I'll get you next time. Okay, 256. Let's do it right now. Hey, what's going on? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Kyle, this is Boots from Lake Gonville, Alabama. How you doing, Kyle?
Hey, what's up, Boots? I appreciate you calling in, batting cleanup at the end. Alabama 5-1 on the season. How's it going? Welcome to the show.
Well, he's Alabama fan. They bother me with that crap. The Arkansas. 4 games in a row, they went down to in the fourth quarter. They was either leading or tied, close within 3 points in the fourth quarter. They act like this Arkansas just gonna come in lay down. Okay, well, Kyle, that the last 2 years they act like they can't even tackle that old boy. What's his name? KJ Jefferson.
KJ Jefferson, the quarterback. Yeah, he's really good. Yeah,
they act like they can't even tackle. Now, Arkansas done lost 4 games in a row, so that's a dangerous team. That's probably a more dangerous team that we're going to face. And everybody think, how many won't beat them by? Mm-hmm. You know what? We'll be lucky to come out of there with a field goal victory because I can see it that our players, they ain't got you'll see come Saturday, they ain't got the big head. See, people are not to be telling them that. And anyway, we on a roller coaster anyway. One slip up and where we at? Sitting at the half, right? We ain't going to be playing for nothing. So they need to get their head back right and go and win this thing. I told you after 3 games, I said if they left Milroe alone after 3 games, they'll be cheering about a championship. See what they're doing? Mm-hmm. See?
No, but hold on, Boots, because I think you're right. Like Arkansas really has, nothing really to play for, which makes them a very dangerous team. So they go in and they upset and they ruin Alabama's season. Sam Pittman, he's a great coach. They have a really good quarterback. Like, and the thing is, if you think about it, the college football playoffs, it doesn't make sense at all, right? If you tried to explain it to somebody else who didn't follow college football, you couldn't. It's a group of people who get into a room and choose. It's a committee who chooses the teams to to go into the playoffs. Like last year, Alabama should have been in the playoffs. They weren't. We saw what happened at TCU. So the thing about it is Alabama's technically already in the playoffs right now. Like every game is the playoffs. So you lose one game, you don't qualify for what could be a national title. So you're basically in the playoffs already. Go ahead, Boots. So continue though.
That's it. There it is. You just put the nail in the coffin right there. Cause everybody acting like, they won 3 games in a row, beat Texas A&M. Now look here, Texas A&M had a real good defense. Offense, they'd probably be a C grade offense. And look, this offense this week's probably a little bit better because they're going to run, push. Every time a running back runs, it's 2 or 3 players pushing them. Now, Bama got to be ready and prepared for this. This is and we're to win or stay at the house. When it's like that, I don't want to hear all that talk about, that's how many we're going to beat them by. Go out there and play without mistakes, and you ought to be able to beat them. But that's the thing they ain't did yet. And you know what? It's looking like it's time, Kyle, to play without all them stupid mistakes.
14 penalties for 99. Yeah, I appreciate you too, Boots. Take it easy, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, Boots, ending the show. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, look, we all have respect for Sam Pittman and for KJ Jefferson. I mean, those are 2 quality names that have been around. I mean, 2 years ago when they were back at Tuscaloosa, Bryce Young had to throw for like 600 yards or something like that to beat the Hogs. Last year, ironically, it was Jalen Milroe who came in for Bryce Young when Bryce Young went down from then Drew Sanders, right, who was a transfer. He was the one who kind of hurt, I thought. The guy's outstanding. And then it was Jahmyr Gibbs who wheeled Alabama to that victory in Fayetteville this year. Hogs coming back. Did you see Alabama roasted a pig? That was on Jalen Key's Instagram. Literally, like in their cafeteria, they roasted a pig. So these guys are getting ready for homecoming. We will have more coverage for you coming up right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, so you guys are always notified when there are videos dropped. Getting closer to 94,000 subscribers. Our goal is 100,000 subscribers by December. Kyle Henderson and Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. One more time. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube, saying goodnight.